That's
We
important to
lived
understand.
upstairs from the store in a very, very large apartment. In fact, it was the same size as the store itself. And behind, the front, of course, was the living room, the dining room, my father and mother's bedroom. I distinctly remember my room when I was under 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old. And the back of the dining room got connected with an L-shaped kitchen, and we had a cook, we had a maid, we had a washerwoman. In those days there were no washing machines, and there was lots of help. The upstairs was run by a staff who slept further back, who in the same upstairs, but it was a very, very large apartment. In fact, when I went back after the war to take a look at it, it had gotten divided into 4 apartments.
So explain how your mother spent her days during the week.
Well, during the week she was in the store with my dad, and I distinctly remember as you walked in the front door, on the right-hand side were offices. Straight ahead of you was the hardware part of the general store, and then came groceries, which in those days there were no packaged grocery. It was all fruit and flour, etc. On the left-hand side was the cash register, but I distinctly remember that behind the cash register were all little drawers with glass in front of them, and that was the candy part. Distinctly remember going to take a candy as my mother sat at the cash register right beside me. So they worked together all their lives. And in Czechoslovakia, in Slovakia in those days, they lived well, but they played hard.
So all of this household help freed them up to devote themselves to the business, and after the business,
To go to the
to
coffee house.
leisure. Yes, yes, yes. So how much contact did you have with your parents from the time you were born in 1930 till you departed in 1939?
Actually, very little. We were, as I say, we were raised by a nanny.
By the way, you should add, when was your sister born?
My sister was born in 1932, a year and a half after I was born. Her name was Alice, and she's a lovely little girl. We played together all our lives. When we went with my mother to Pieszczany, which was the spa baths, hot baths. We have many pictures of the two of us. One I distinctly remember with a swan. Each one of us had a swan under our arms, and we lived very, very well.
So you were saying, so you and Alice were raised primarily by the Fräulein.
Yes. Yes.
And to what extent did you see your parents in the course of the day?
In the course of the day, very little. Very little. And at night they went to the coffee house.
So you didn't have dinner in common, for example?
No.
No.
No. Once in a while, but mostly no. As a matter of fact, when later on we were 6 years old, I was 7, maybe she was 6, 5 and a half. When we went to school, we learned Slovak together. But I distinctly remember, for example, Passovers were held at my grandfather's at a very large table.
Your grandfather, the physician?
Yeah, the physician, yes. In their dining room, and it was all done in Hebrew, and it was like it was yesterday. I remember sitting on his knee, and very distinctly remember the kind of seders that he ran, all in Hebrew.
So as I recall, your Jacob Herzog, your grandfather, the physician, and his wife lived perhaps 100 yards away from the
Not
site.
100 yards, but they lived across the square. We were if the church was in the middle of the square, we were on one side and they lived on the farthest side. So we had to go around the church to get to their place.
So how much did you see of them?
They loved us. We were in the same city, so that we saw them, whenever possible. He was a very busy doctor. He was the main doctor in Hlohovec, and he had a lot of friends. Everybody in Hlohovec knew him. When he walked down the street, it was, "Hello, Dr. Herzog, hello, Dr. Herzog, hello, Doc." That's all you heard. Everybody knew him.
Right. So is it fair to say that he would have been one of the most sort of prestigious people in town by virtue of his occupation?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And was your father, by the time of the mid to late 30s, was he among the most successful businessmen in town?
Yeah, by far. By far.
Okay. Now, my understanding is that a lot of that success was not so much because of the general retail store, but because of wholesale supplying that he did to particular
Exactly
customers.
right.